make sure that the camera's running and everything's going good, and then I'll go ahead and get started on this video. For those of you who can already see me, I don't know if you can see me yet. We got the Chronicles movie He-Man, so that's pretty exciting. We're about to get started. As soon as I see that my picture is up on my phone, and oh yeah, there it looks like there it is. All right, so today I have to open up for you something very special. My first of the I've opened up 2 Masters of the Universe Chronicles figures so far before. We've opened Scareglow and we've opened King Grayskull. So this is my 3rd Chronicles figure, and we're finally getting around to He-Man. And it is the movie version of He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe, deluxe articulation, Masters of the Universe Chronicles. Got it at the top there in gray. Got the full color version at the front. It's that newer Masters logo they like to use. I'm more old school. I still prefer the 80s Masters of the Universe logo. Thank you very much. Edward Sondon is here and says, "That's amazing. Isn't it just?" So here we go. We got a picture of He-Man over here on the side. Nicholas Galitzine. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly now. I believe that's how you pronounce that name. He said it was a Russian name, which I thought was interesting. Nicholas Galitzine. And over here we have a picture of He-Man facing off against Skeletor with the Sword of Power in between them. And that's what the bottom of the package looks like. If anybody needs that UPC code, you might as well just freeze frame it there, I guess. And then on the back, we got him holding aloft his magic sword, and got him drawing the sword from the back, got him leaping into action. Got some cross-sell artwork here with the movie versions of Man-at-Arms and Triclops. I did see both of those while I was at the store today, so hopefully I'll be getting those very soon. And, of course, these are available on Amazon and Big Bad Toy Store and all other kinds of online retailers you can pick them up from. Al Davis is here and says, "Evening, Alan. Hope you're good." So far, so good. Knock on wood. So I'm about to open up this action figure, so it could be worse. I'm really looking forward to getting this Skeletor figure, by the way. I think that the look of Skeletor in this movie is awesome. I do kind of wish he had the straps coming down at the sides of his armor like the action figure did, but whatever. That's just nitpicking. So anyway, we got He-Man in the package, and he looks like he's kind of over the whole being in a package thing, just kind of rolling his eyes. Honestly, I think this is a pretty good likeness of the actor, but also it looks a little bit like a young Heath Ledger, I think. So maybe do a Jokerized version of He-Man. I know I said I hate Jokerized versions of the figures, but I'm talking about when McFarlane does it, because it's just a cash grab. I don't mind it when it's people doing their own customs. Yeah, I could do a Jokerized He-Man. I mean, it might make more sense to do a Jokerized Skeletor, because Skeletor and the Joker have been played by 2 of the same actors. That'd be Jared Leto, obviously, that we just talked about, and Mark Hamill on Masters of the Universe Revelation played Skeletor. And I don't know why this corner of the box is being so annoying. But yeah, I've opened up 2 of these Chronicles figures so far, and I've been impressed with both of them. This is the first movie Chronicles figure I had. Now, for those of you who are expecting me to open the sketchbook Manny Faces today, I've decided to postpone that until the next episode, which he wound up getting postponed till the next episode because of Spikor. So, poor Manny Faces, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. It's but I promise I'm going to get around to him very shortly. So here we got the figure out of the package. We got this big old cardboard spacer over here. We got the Sword of Power. We got 2, excuse me, 2 mighty fists. Grant G says apparently Triclops' visor doesn't move. Yeah, I'd heard that too, and that to me is very surprising. Now, oftentimes they have extra accessories over here in this spacer, but it does not look like it is the case. It doesn't look like it's intended to be open, and it lists all the contents of the figure, and we can see that they are all in the plastic blister next to He-Man. But since I am thorough, if nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and open this part up anyway, just so we can be certain that there's no little extra surprises inside. Maybe a little plastic Orko or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'd heard somebody say that their Triclops visor didn't move, and I was hoping that that would be just a case where it was just his, like maybe like the paint was sticking or it accidentally got some glue in there, or the plastic somehow fused together. But it's starting to sound like to me that Triclops does not have a visor that rotates, which to me is like kind of like, why are you even making a figure of Triclops if you don't make his visor rotate? So I'm still going to buy that figure because I would be remiss if I didn't buy an action figure of one of my favorite Masters of the Universe characters from the new movie, regardless as to whether or not his action feature works. But I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to make it work. If I'm sure it's a separate piece of plastic that's glued onto the head, probably, if it doesn't actually rotate. So I'm thinking that there's probably a way to make it rotate. But I'll go much deeper into that when I do open up the Triclops figure, because I will still open them up. So I do want to point out the insert here, which has got this nice image of Castle Grayskull, and it's all lit up from the inside. Like you can almost see the power of Grayskull coming out of it. You have these statues of these kingly figures, and I'm guessing that those are the previous He-Men or previous kings of Castle Grayskull, or whatever you want to call them. And the rocks to the side of Castle Grayskull look very Vasquez rocks. Think about like the opening of the Lone Ranger, or Planet Vulcan on Star Trek, or the planet that the Gorn fought Captain Kirk on Star Trek, or like just a whole bunch of planets on Star Trek. Apparently in the Star Trek galaxy, like there's a lot of planets that look like Vasquez rocks, but also there are like ribs. And I don't know if you can see that. There's ribs like embedded in the rock, which kind of brings to mind how like in the Filmation cartoon, Castle Grayskull was almost like supported by these giant pillars that looked like bones. And I always thought that was really cool. And Mark Taylor said that his version of Castle Grayskull, he imagined his version of Castle Grayskull is like actually growing out of the earth, well, out of the Eternia. When I say earth in this case, I mean dirt, land, clay, rock, whatever you want to call it. Well, I'll go ahead and open it up a little bit more. We'll just go ahead and we'll just cut this whole thing apart so we can get a really good look at the castle and the insert. Because for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure I've mentioned this on the show before, I first became aware of He-Man by a commercial for the toys on Saturday morning, probably when I was watching Super Friends. And it was the castle, the commercial with the castle and Beastman fighting He-Man. So Skeletor wasn't in that commercial; it was just Beastman. And the castle was the thing that really captured my imagination and got me interested in buying. The action figures are cool, but the castle was the thing that really sold me. So I do really like this design of the castle in the movie. I do want to point out also that this battlement back here is broken. You can see it's just shattered back there. So it's like this is a castle that's been through some stuff, and of course it's got that kind of red ivy growing up on it, like we see in the trailer. Now, since this is kind of a more monochromatic picture, you can't tell it's red, but that's what color it is. Anyway, the castle looks really cool. I could keep talking about the movie version of Castle Grayskull for a while, but I'm sure you guys want to eventually get to me talking about the figure. So let's go ahead and get onto that. Let me grab my snips from over here, and we can go ahead and get the sword out of the package. We'll do that first. And I did bring over here the Origins. Oh man, I should have brought King Grayskull over here so we can compare. But you can see how much longer, this is a larger scale figure, obviously, but you can see how much longer that the sword is, the one that comes with the Chronicles version. But it does look like the handle is about the same size. So let's see how well the Origins version can hold the sword. It's a little loose in there, but he can't hold it. And we'll try it in the other hand, since that's the more traditional He-Man type hand. The 80s style He-Man hand. He can hold that just fine. So if you do think that this sword is a little too small for this figure, you can always get an extra Chronicles figure. Or if you got a 3D printer, you can print one out. I know Mega Custom X on Cults 3D, he's got like a really cool power sword that I print out a lot. And in fact, here's I always show this, the larger one that I printed out for the Masterverse scale. Do love that power sword. That's my favorite power sword to print out. Anyway, let me set the sword aside for the moment, and we'll get these two fists out. And I do really wish I'd brought the King Grayskull over here to compare, but I'll try to take some shots, some pictures for the community posts. There's solid fist. We've got a solid fist for each hand, and then we've got the damnable rubber tabs. Let's go and snip those from the back. Get all those off of there. Oh, I do hate those things. That's a good thing they're on there, because otherwise you'd be falling out of the package right now. All right. Man, he's actually in there really good. All right. We got him out of there. All right. So, as I'd mentioned before when I was talking about the Origins version, this is supposed to be like a little more old school type of design for this figure. Even with the movie costume and everything, it's still like fairly simple in terms of like the paint job and everything. But this one they went all out with the paints. And I noticed this when I was checking them out in the store. Like, look, they put like this wash over like the gladiator kilt and over the armor, and it really gives it like a nice leathery sort of texture to it, and the boots and everything like that. So that looks really cool. He's got like for He-Man, I consider this to be a fairly light skin tone. Like even the Origins version, I think is like a little more tan than this one, and I still feel like the Origins that one's not quite as tan as the regular Origins figure, and I still feel like the regular Origins figure isn't quite tan enough to be He-Man. It should be a little more tan. That's a custom I did, but the skin color's still the same, so you can see what I'm talking about. Does the armor come off? I'm sure the armor comes off. Yeah, there's little pegs and holes here, so we can take the fasteners, open up the fastener. They are really snug, but I can get them off. And I think I need to pop off his head to pull off the visor. I'm sorry, I looked up at the screen and I saw the Triclops comment again, so that got the word visor stuck in my head. And my He-Man has a little smudge. I don't know if you can make that out on his pec there. It seems like it's coming off. That's probably just a little piece. Yeah, I got it off. It's probably just a little piece of schmutz from the factory. But yeah, and then he's got it seems almost like it's a separate piece, because it looks like it's molded in silver plastic, and it's got like a little more a little less pliability than this. Seems more like the rubbery kind of plastic, and this seems like it's flexible. It's still pliable, but not like as pliable as like the leather straps should be. And there's another piece of plastic. This is made out of 3 pieces of plastic. They went all out on this. And then there's a translucent red piece of plastic here, the cross on the front of his chest. So it gives it almost kind of a glow. If you look at the way it was illustrated on the package, where did I put that box? Yeah, here we go. It almost looks to me like it's kind of like a gem that's kind of cut into that He-Man shit, like a large gem that they put on his chest, and they tried to replicate it with that. Now, of course, it's just kind of painted just regular red on this one, and on the Kids Core line, it's colored that way too. I do have that figure too, by the way, so I'll be opening him up relatively soon. And I'm supposed to get the Origins Beastman and the Kids Core Beastman and Tila. I'm supposed to be getting those today. Al Davis says it looks pretty detailed. I like the leather effect on the kilt and boots. Yeah, it does look really cool. But it looks like to me like the shade of brown, actually, like it looks like they use the same brown plastic. If you look at the inside of it, you can see it matches up pretty well. But yeah, they just put this wash over it to give it this leathery texture that I really like. All these little studs in the armor, each of those is painted in individually. The breastplate is this nice gunmetal color with, like I said, the He-Man emblem itself. The cross is It's molded in that clear red plastic, and then the sword of power fits into a little sheath on the back, nice and snug. That's not going to fall out very easily. You're going to have to put it in and out. It holds in there pretty well. This is very well designed, this sheath, I think. That might be the same plastic, but I don't know that they used on the sword. It seems like the sword is more like a nylon type of plastic. So anyway, we go ahead and put him back together, because I don't feel like I need to leave the breastplate off in order to talk about the articulation. I don't foresee this interfering with the articulation too much, but I do think it's going to be kind of a little bit of a chore to get it back on there, just because, like I said, it was these clasps, the peg and the hole, the fastener, it was pretty snug on there, and there's back on there now, and it tends to blend in pretty well. You can tell where it is, but it looks like it should be there naturally. A lot of good detail with that belt too. Lots of little straps and buckles and studs and things. Like, they put a lot of surface detail into a lot of these movie costumes that they don't necessarily need to have, but it does give it all some texture and make it look more interesting on screen. Amiga Cami is here and says, "Hi, Alan. Hi, all. Hi to you. Good to see you." All right, so let's go ahead and talk about his articulation somewhat. So He-Man can look up about that far, look down about that far, tilt his head from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. Now, these Chronicles have really good neck articulation, kind of like what G.I. Joe Classified has, where not only is the head jointed where the head meets the neck, but also where the neck meets the shoulders. So you can get like a really good range of motion. Have him do the kind of Charlie's Angels hair flip. Like, imagine like Prince Valiant in Shrek 2, like, kind of flips his hair like that. You can do that, so that's nice. And then, of course, He-Man can rotate his arms all the way around at the shoulder, and they raise up to the sides about that far. Like I said, like I speculated when I opened up the King Grayskull figure, I'm pretty sure this is the same exact body, at least as far as like the torso, the arms, and the legs. It's probably got different. Certainly got different boots, different loincloth piece, and different bracers. I believe these bracers are a separate piece. So let me go and show you. You can take those off very easily, and that gives us a good look at what the forearm looks like underneath. And we can put those back on. Oh, you can see what the joint looks like. It's that kind of cool Rebel Tech type joint like we see on McFarlane figures. Mattel has upped their game and gone with that cool wrist articulation that I love so much on McFarlane figures. And now we have it on Mattel figures. So let's see those DC figures now that you guys have got your articulation game stepped up. Al Davis asks, "Is the hair painted with more definition?" It does look like it's got a little bit of a wash over it. They give it a little bit more texture. Amiga Cami says, "I'm hoping to get into the city and search for new figures soon. The websites say they're in stock at Target and Kmart." Boy, I wish I had a Kmart around here again. My grandmother used to work at Kmart. I don't know if it's the same Kmart, because I know there's like Kmart in Australia that's like a completely different. I think it's a different chain. I don't think it's the same chain, but still, I hear an Australian person talk about Kmart, and it makes me nostalgic. So there might be even other Kmarts around the world elsewhere. I think there's one Kmart left here in the United States, last I checked. So, but anyway, but yeah, they did add some detailing to the hair. You got to have that feathered hair. He's got to have, yeah, Kmart Australia. Not sure how related they are, but I'm glad to have him there. Yeah, my grandmother worked at Kmart, and she worked at the snack bar. And she would give me free ices all the time. That was awesome. So, but yeah, I kind of figured it was probably the Australian version. That's the only other Kmart I know about. But like I said, there might be others Kmarts in other parts of the world, but that's the only Kmart I know that's left. And I don't know. Like I said, they might be connected. They might not. It might be that, like, they just thought it was a cool name and said, well, we'll just have one over here in Australia. but it still makes me nostalgic for my grandma's Kmart. Anyway, getting back to the articulation, I skipped ahead to the wrist, but let's go ahead and talk more about the arms, because it's got a bicep swivel, so the bicep rotates all around. It's got double jointed elbows, and it looks like that's about the range of motion you get at the elbows, but it's kind of bumping into the bracer a little bit there, so you could probably get it to move a little bit more if the bracer wasn't in the way, but he does have a very long bracer. You know, oftentimes they'll make He-Man's bracer symmetrical when the original figure it wasn't symmetrical. And usually when they do make He-Man's bracers symmetrical, like say with the Origins figure, that's my custom movie. See, so we got the custom that I made months ago, and the one that Mattel actually made, and you can see they're kind of similar. It's kind of funny. Amiga Cami says this is Kmart Australia. Yeah, I read that one. I got it. Kmart is in Spain. Is what Mart? Haha. Yeah, I get that. Bobby Wald says I hear Kmart Australia and I assume it's a store for kangaroos. But yeah, usually when they do He-Man's bracers as being symmetrical, they get with the smaller one. But in this one, it seems like they went with the larger one, because this definitely looks more like the bracer that's on the left arm of the original He-Man figure than the one on the right arm. So yeah. The cool torso articulation. You can move from side to side like that. Back and forth like that. Jointed at both where the rib cage meets the abs and where the abs meets the waist. And of course, rotates all the way around at the rib cage. Rotates all the way around at the waist. He-Man can kick up about that far. So that's a He-Man with a good range of motion for the kicks. You do not want to get kicked in the face by this guy, let me tell you. And he can do the splits no problem. Jean-Claude He-Man. So, and then there's a little bit of a rotation here. It doesn't rotate all the way around, but it gives you just enough to move it around somewhat. He's got double jointed knees. That's about the range of motion you get at the knees. He's got a boot cut. So the boot rotates all the way around. And let's check out those boots while we're at it. They do look, if there's any nod to the new adventures of He-Man, it's these boots. They took the fur trim off the boots, and it's still got kind of like straps on it. So it's supposed to look, I think, kind of sort of like the straps that the old He-Man boots had, where they're not really boots so much as they're just kind of pieces of fur he's got tied around his feet. But these do look very much like, I think, like the boots that he had on the New Adventures of He-Man cartoon. Which, if you're going to take one thing from the New Adventures of He-Man cartoon, those boots are a good thing to take. They're kind of similar to the boots that you had in the actual toy, but they're brown instead of golden. So Al Davis says He-Man moonlights as an Eternian falconer in his free time. Well, yeah, that's how you met up with Zor in the first place. If you made it this far in the video, let me know in the comments how you pronounce that word. Do you pronounce it Zor or Zoar? Because I hear it both ways. I usually say Zor, like it rhymes with soar, because that's how I interpret it, because Zor soars through the air. I kind of figured it was one of those things where it's just kind of like changing the word up a little bit to, more fit with the Eternian theme. So since I've still got, of course, my Masterverse Battle Armor He-Man over here, let's go ahead and compare the height. And we can see that he does stand quite a bit taller than the Chronicles version by at least a good half an inch. Maybe more like 2/3 of an inch. And then just see him next to a McFarlane figure. He's about half an inch shorter than the Christopher Reeve Superman. And since I happen to have Batman over here, the Arkhamverse Batman, yeah, about half. A little shorter than the McFarlane figures. I think probably still a little taller than, say, G.I. Joe. Like, I got a Snake Eyes right here. So he's a good bit taller than Snake Eyes, for example. He's probably about as tall as, do I have a Roadblock figure over here or another taller G.I. Joe character? I got Sergeant Slaughter. So he stands about the same height as Sergeant Slaughter in G.I. Joe. So, and Sarge was sitting under a pile of figures, and his Smokey the Bear hat got a little warped, so I'll have to fix that later. All right, so where was I as far as the articulation goes? Yeah, I talked about all the leg articulation. So then he's got the cool McFarlane ankle art. It's Mattel now, but like the Rebel Tech type, the McFarlane type ankle articulation. Mattel is copying that now, and I'm glad that they're copying that because it's excellent articulation. Al Davis says, I don't mind the height in relation to McFarlane figures. I quite like it. They're good figures. It's a good height for action figures. I just kind of felt like for a while there, it seemed like the trend was going more towards the 7-inch figures, and now it seems like it's going more back towards the 6-inch figures. I kind of don't mind because it gives me another scale really to collect Masters of the Universe figures and more figures I can have them interact with. Like maybe do some good 3 3/4-inch figures next. I'm not talking about that Super 7 reaction stuff. I'm talking about give us something with some good articulation in that scale would be really cool. But also, I kind of feel like Chronicles, at least from what I've seen so far, and I've only opened up 3 figures on this channel so far, and one of them is supposed to be a movie figure, but 2 of them are just kind of standard Masters of the Universe mythos kind of figures. And I can say for those, like, it seems like the intention for this line is to go for a more realistic style. That Masterverse was still kind of a bit of an exaggerated style, and Classics was very much, the same aesthetic that the vintage figures had. But this seems to be more sort of like a real world kind of aesthetic, like they're trying to give it to. And that makes sense because the movie is going to be a big part of this line, at least at the launch. And I'm sure they're going to get into other versions of the characters on down the line. I would not be surprised to see like Filmation characters in this line, or the 1987 movie, or New Adventures, or 2000X, or really anything. I think that's why they called it Masters of the Universe Chronicles, because it's supposed to go over the whole chronicles of it. And I like seeing newer versions of the characters, like, this version of Scareglow in this line and this version of King Grayskull obviously were kind of redesigned to a certain extent. And I imagine when we see just like a pure vanilla Chronicles version of He-Man, not the movie version, but just the regular Chronicles version, I'm pretty sure that one will be kind of a redesigned version of He-Man too. Al Davis says you could have just bent the leg back to do the double knee a la, ooh, hello, sailor pose, like that sort of thing. Like she kisses him and he bends backwards. You're just lucky I didn't grab one of these Skeletor figures around here for that. Ooh, that's your nephew, dude. Gross. Amiga Cami says these figures will fit in with other movie-based 6-inch lines. Yeah, see, exactly. I kind of feel like, it's they're I think a little taller, like I said, than Marvel Legends, but probably still like, not quite as tall as the McFarlane figures. But I mean, if you've got like the Mattel movie figures for like the Zack Snyder DC stuff that they did a while back, like the BVS, the Man of Steel, they're probably in good scale with those, I would think. I might could dig one of those out later. And as far as like other 6-inch scale figures go, like I've got like this Mr. Freeze over. He's way taller than Mr. Freeze. These are both supposed to be 6-inch figures, but they're not the same scale. He's way taller than Mr. Freeze. And do I have a Batman I can get to easily over here? I don't think so. I got Robin. That's the New Adventures Robin. But he's way taller than Robin. But He-Man should be way taller than Robin anyway. I kind of feel like those McFarlane Batman and Super Friends figures those are kind of like a little small for a 6-inch. Technically, they're supposed to be 6-inch scale, so they should be like Marvel Legends scale, but they're still a little bit smaller than that, I think. Like Mr. Freeze, if they were really 6-inch scale, so Mr. Freeze would be about the same height as Snake Eyes, but I mean, like he's a little bit shorter than Snake Eyes even. Snake Eyes, I figure this is probably about like what I want a 6-inch figure to be as far as like the height goes. That's kind of like for me, that's about it. And I don't mind He-Man being a little taller than that. He-Man can be taller than that. Al Davis says, I'd love to make a shelf with Ninja Turtles, Master of the Universe, Scooby-Doo, Biker Mice from Mars, SWAT Cats. I don't know why I said Squat Cats. All together. Thundercats in there too if they make them. And Bobby Wald says, a toy Discord I'm in, someone putting up pics of the cartoon collection, New Adventures of He-Man coming up, and that Masterverse skit. Wow, okay. So cartoon collection of New Adventures of He-Man. They really are running out of stuff to do with the cartoon collection if they're doing New Adventures. I kid. I'm probably still going to buy some of those myself. So let's go ahead and put the sword in his hand. See what it looks like holding the sword. Before I do that, though, I want to point out they actually painted the handle of the sword on this one. So that's worth noting. So let's see if we can get the sword in his hand. And there we go. Gripping it nicely. And then he holds aloft his magic sword and says, by the power of Grayskull. And there he is, holding aloft his magic sword. We can get him to kind of look up at it a little bit. Not quite as far as I'd like, because he's got that kind of longish hair, but what are you going to do about it? It's the way they're sculpted. So there we go. That's our Masters of the Universe Chronicles 2026 movie He-Man. This line is off to a great start. I've been really excited and impressed with everything that I've seen from it so far. Now, granted, I've only opened up 3 of them, but they're 3 really great figures. And like I said, I didn't buy them today, but I did see Man-at-Arms and Triclops at the store, and they both looked good. Al Davis says, like as an all-encompassing diorama, maybe a big warehouse interior. I'm sure you mean like a warehouse playset type diorama scale, but the first thing I thought of was just filling up a whole warehouse with an immense diorama. Al Davis says they really are looking good so far. I agree. And Rowdy Riles is here, and he says hi. Is that an ElfQuest icon? It's so tiny. But yeah, Rowdy Riles says hi. So hi to Rowdy Riles. So anyway, I think that's pretty much it for this figure. Really great figure, and I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I can't wait to get more of these. So they are available to buy at many online retailers. I've seen them on Amazon and Big Bad Toy Store and, other online retailers. But I didn't order them yet because I don't know, man. Something about this line, I just kind of felt like I want to find this one in the wild, I want to go out into the store and see the He-Man figure on the shelf and pick it up. And that's exactly what happened. So other ones I might go ahead and order them online. I don't know. we'll just see. But anyway, that is, I think, pretty much it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Rowdy Rouse says that she is a she. Oh, forgive me. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I was just reading a name off the screen. I didn't technically misgender you. It was just like I didn't know who you were. I'll try to remember that in the future because but thanks for letting me know so I don't look like a complete jackass. Amiga Cami says that's why I haven't ordered any online yet. I want the thrill of the hunt. Precisely. And it just seemed to me like maybe I'm just being weirdly sentimental about an action figure, but it just seemed like something special. It merited that. I wanted the excitement of finding it in the store since it's a new line of figures for a new movie, and I'm really excited about it. And I haven't been this excited about a movie in a long time, folks. I'm generally looking forward to this movie. Al Davis says, I keep getting accused of being artificial intelligence Davis. Yeah, they're going to have to start they're going to have to change the way we do lowercase L's, aren't they? They're going to have to put like a little bit of a serif at the bottom of it, just to just to kind of differentiate it, because the AI is just going to become such a prompt, even more so, I think, in the future than what it's already become. It already has become something you just see online all the time. And sometimes people call me Al. I don't really go by Al, but sometimes people want to call me Al for whatever reason. I just go by Alan. And it's obviously nothing against anybody named Al. There's lots of great Als. Weird Al, Al Bundy, like, but it's just not anything I've ever really gone by. It's, I've always just been Alan. That's always just been it. It doesn't offend me. It doesn't bother me, but I'm not used to it. So if you call me that, I might not answer to it. But Bobby Walt says, I never see the stuff in stores anymore. All I ever see is Skibbity Toilet and some Superman stuff, How to Train Your Dragon, plenty of Star Wars on the shelf. And Al Davis says, people say I'm soft in the middle. Yeah, like that movie Superman stuff, man, like they got so much of that in at the Walmart next to my work, and none of it sold. It all just sat there for like a year. And finally they got it marked down to half price, and it's still just sitting there. They got Supergirl toys in just recently. So they got Supergirl toys sitting right next to on the shelf, right next to the Superman toys that still haven't sold. I don't know how well the Supergirl, I mean, we're talking like McFarlane figures in this case, and McFarlane figures usually sell. Even kind of like the mid ones kind of sell, but like it's these are the basic ones, like just Superman and Metamorpho, and those just sit there. Those don't move. Like, I think if people were going to buy a Superman movie figure, they wanted the one that came with crypto, and they bought that one, and they just left the basic one behind. So those are still sitting there. Those are still full price. The Spin Master stuff, like, they couldn't give that stuff away. That was the stuff that's the stuff that's still sitting there, like, at half price. And I imagine they're probably going to wind up having to ship that to Ollie's or Ross or something like that. Which is a shame, because from what I understand, those are pretty high quality made toys, but I just don't like any of the designs from that movie, so I'm not impressed with them. They look like they're well made toys, like well articulated and everything like that. The sculpting looks good, the painting looks good, but it's based on designs I don't like, so it doesn't really even matter. I think I missed a whole bunch of stuff. Roddy Wild says, I really want the movie He-Man and Battle Cat. I've never had either. I did see Battle Cat at Target when I was there today, but he's expensive, so I didn't buy him yet. But I am going to buy him later. Al Davis says, I hope everyone got my "you can call me Al" reference. Yeah. Amiga Kimmy says, I was enjoying DC's 4-inch line of DC Spin Master's line of 4-inch DC figures, and I expected Superman in the same scale. Yeah, I agree with that. I was surprised they went with a larger scale like that. I don't know why they did, but I don't think it worked out very well for them. I think, honestly, if they had have stuck with the 4-inch scale, I probably would have at least bought Mr. Terrific, just because he could have gone with my other 4-inch DC stuff. He was the only design in that movie that I didn't hate. And even then, I thought they didn't do that great a job with them. They could have done better, but it mostly looked like the comic book, so I was kind of okay with it. I got a video talking about the movie version of the figure, so you can, if you want to hear me talk more about that, you can go back and check that out. But that one was the one where I was kind of like, whatever, as far as the design goes. But I did not like the Superman suit. I did not like Green Lantern suit. I did not like Hawk Girl's suit. So the only figures I bought from that line, and even then I got them when they were on clearance, is I got the McFarlane Mr. Terrific and the McFarlane Lex Luthor, which is a really nice Lex Luthor figure. They can't screw up a guy in a purple business suit, I guess. So, and then Al Davis says the Battle Cat armor looked good from the film at a recent con. Yeah, the figure looks great. I do want to pick that up, but I think what I'm going to do is save up some Amazon gift cards and get it on Amazon. Is probably what I'm going to wind up doing. Anyway, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the other fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure and the character of He-Man in general and what you're thinking about the new movie. And but yeah, do make sure you like and subscribe. YouTube likes it when I say like and subscribe, so I like to say like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me, I like it when you leave comments. I like to say leave comments too. Superman suit grew on me, but it could have been more fitting. Yeah, well, I guess the suit could have grown on him too. Oh, yeah. Like it just is. It's way too New 52 for me. It's just a New 52 suit with trunks on it. And I do not like New 52 Superman. It's like, why would you go backwards? Like, why would you go back to this? It didn't work. That's why they debooted it. They went back to what they had before the reboot. Amiga Cami says, thanks for the stream. Take care. See you next time. I hope so. I hope so. So next episode, like I said, I should be getting that movie Origins Beastman figure, but man, I feel like this guy's gotten kicked around enough. So even if I do get that movie Origins Beastman figure today, I'm going to open up the Sketchbook Manny faces next, and then I think I'll do the movie Origins Beastman, and then we'll open up some more of these DC figures that I got to open up. I was planning on opening up next. I was going to open up Black Hawk, because I've been sitting on Black Hawk for a while. And then we'll do Vigilante. So we'll open up two of the ones with guns. Al Davis says, Andy should have had a separate finale suit. Yeah, maybe that one could have looked like an actual proper Superman suit. I swear, I had Superman pajamas when I was a kid. They look better than this suit in the movie. Anyway, we'll talk to you next time. Bye.